Today in the crypto space, we see the market looking a bit slumpy. Bitcoin right around 94,000, still looking strong. However, Ethereum down 2%, causing the altcoin market to come down ever so slightly. And you can see there are a few dips here like Sui, Near Protocol, VeChain, Celestia, and many others. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin, one project that I'm seeing everywhere. And that project is called Immutable X. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunity. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of the volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. You can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. All right, guys, let's begin. Let's see what's going on here with the general market first. We'll take a look at the market cap. We'll take a look at the top 100. We'll use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and then we'll jump right into the IMX chart. Because honestly, I think IMX is at a good level to start deploying a bit of capital for that reversal. All right, so let's see. Market cap coming down approximately 2.3%. I know it's in a bit of a dip, but still the structure is intact. We're still in an upwards trend. We see trading volume coming down to a bit of a halt. Maybe we get a nice rounded bottom and start moving to the upside again, getting more trading volume. But the issue is here. If we get trading volume, is the volume going to be buy pressure or sell pressure? This is the biggest issue at the current moment. We haven't seen any major corrections on Bitcoin for a good while. The question is, are we due? Now, it doesn't have to happen right now. Actually, in fact, it would be ideal to get a couple of more bulls trapped into a nice move to the upside. But honestly, it would be an ideal moment if we were to see the market swell up a little bit more or swell up one more time to take a bit of profit, guys, and de-risk. Because if Bitcoin comes down for a bigger dip than expected, we're going to see a big correction in the market. Now, if you feel like these days are red, if you feel like these days are bad, guys, we're going to get a lot more if Bitcoin comes down 20 to 30%. You know, on average, at about 20 to 25% is an ideal retracement for Bitcoin. And it's a healthy breather, not even considered a major retracement. And ultimately, what is going to happen to the altcoins is they're going to bleed out pretty hard, but then on the recovery, they're going to recover a lot harder than Bitcoin. And that's going to be a good indication of an altcoin season. And that's usually when we see the Bitcoin dominance fall. Okay, so we're trying to time this market in such a way that we're trying to time cycles, the cycles of the market, not trying to time tops or bottoms. We're trying to say, okay, have we done a great move to the upside with Bitcoin? Yes, we have. It hit great target, $95,000 almost. Could we get to about 100,000? That is definitely possible. Could we get another move for the altcoin markets to catch up a little bit? Of course, all of this is possible. But guys, as we get to these levels and the greed is all the way to the max, we have to de-risk. We have to make sure that we're finding ways to raise capital, and the best way to do that is to take profit. Take profit, guys. If you're on, any positions, margin, leverage, whatever the case is, spot. If you're up in significant green, take a bit of profit, 10% off the top, and that way you have some capital to buy on those dips. Okay, on those red days, those fire sales. We're getting a bit of it right now. As you can see, Solana rolling over just a little bit. If it holds up, great. If it doesn't, it's going to come down and do a Bart Simpson to the downside. XRP is trying to hold up desperately. We have Doge coming down approximately 80.5%. Cardano's still showing strength here, guys. Cardano's not, it's all business right now for Cardano. It's doing great. It went up for a higher high. That's great. Tron rolling over. What else do we have here? Sui already getting the Bart Simpson. Look at that. Bart Simpson retracement. Now, I'm going to tell you something. In the previous cycle, I've seen a Bart Simpson right before we got the major rally to the upside. We had our one, if you guys were here in the previous cycle, in the previous bull market, the beginning of the market, we had that horrible Bart Simpson pattern. And I remember right after that Bart Simpson pattern, we got a V recovery and a bull market on, and we never came back. Okay, guys, so I'm not saying that this is going to be the signal. I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I'm just saying is that these negative patterns can quickly turn around and become the last dips that are going to be given to us as an opportunity. Okay, so they could be quick, very, very quick. V recoveries mean that they happen very fast, and ultimately they're opportunities to take full advantage of, especially when you're getting those double-digit dips. Like SUI right now is down approximately 9.6%, which means that we're getting to that level where things start to look pretty interesting for accumulation, right? Just a bit of it. We have Near Protocol coming down. Guys, I'm building positions on Near. I already have a fat position on SUI. I'm looking into a bit of Near. I already have a good position on Aptos. I'm starting to build margin positions. Now, slow and steady, of course, DCing. I did deploy a bit of capital already, and now, of course, those positions are underwater. But because we're DCing, we're not going in all at once, right? This is very important that you have capital reserved to buy dips at lower levels to drag your average cost down, and eventually stack enough, coins and tokens that ultimately, when it recovers, you're going to be deep in the green. That's the idea, right? You're not supposed to be trying to time bottoms, because you're gonna miss out or get wrecked, one or the other. Okay, so just consider that. Of course, we have a lot of these altcoins coming down. Bond coming down 13%. We have Render coming down a little bit. I think it might be just the beginning of its bigger retracement. This is the biggest issue, guys. If we get a fake out to the upside and we see another pop to the upside, it could be the biggest bull trap right before we get a massive run, the last one before we get the run. Now, projects like Mantra that has pumped up significantly in the last, let's say 4 days or so, right now it's going sideways. It's producing a very nice structure. Personally speaking, I am into the mindset that a trade is a trade, and they're there to make profit. Ultimately, if it does break that structure to the downside, I'm expecting Mantra to come down very, very hard. Despite fundamentals, the hype, the sentiment, it doesn't matter. Profit taking is profit taking, investing is investing, and ultimately trading is trading. And we're going to want to be profitable, and people will take profit. And as soon as people take profit, we get emotional about that. We see dips, we get bearish, and then people start fighting, and then it comes down. Unfortunately, that's the way the markets work. They're basically hinged on emotion. And when those emotions run wild, we definitely get unhinged. Okay, so let's just be real about this. Mantra did great. Take a bit of profit, trail up stop losses. Do what you got to do to encourage the fact that you're a profitable trader. That's all you're doing here. We have a BitTensor coming down a little bit, and a lot of projects are coming down, guys. I'm not going to go through it all, but you can see the overall sentiment is a little bit of a dip. And of course, we're going to be talking about Immutable X, IMX. Right now, it's rolling over in the 1 hour. I feel like we should be prepared. I've been doing deep dives, guys. I've been doing a lot of deep dives in the last little while, particularly within the gaming sector. IMX is everywhere, guys. IMX is everywhere, especially with these in-game assets, marketplaces, and all of that. IMX is everywhere. So for me, why not get a bit of some exposure here? Because ultimately, seeing IMX spread across the market and its logo pretty much on many websites leads me to believe that I need a bit of exposure. So I figured, why not? Let's talk about IMX today. All right, guys, before we get into that and all of that, let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin. I know you're here to talk about charts as well. We do see that ultimately Bitcoin has been doing really, really good, right? Showing lots of strength to the upside, grinding up more and more, and it's hogging the liquidity. It is sucking the liquidity out of the risk on assets. And of course, why wouldn't it? Obviously, Bitcoin showing strength plus not as being as risky. This is an ideal scenario for investing. However, guys, the true opportunities for life-changing gains come in the lower cap altcoins. Let's talk about this a little bit more. Honestly, like, I love Bitcoin. You guys know that I was buying Bitcoin at 16K for this cycle. And I sold my Bitcoin that I bought this cycle. I already sold it. I got into the altcoin market. And for those of you that have been following me, it was probably the best decision I ever made, because I know we're looking really bullish right now. The reality is that some of the altcoins that I deployed in, outperform Bitcoin significantly despite the Bitcoin dominance, which for me is something that, I really, really want everybody out there to understand, that Bitcoin dominance is a tool that sometimes could be a bit deceiving, just a little bit. We got to be honest about that. Okay, it's a good general consensus tool to really kind of anticipate that the general market, the altcoin market in this case, is not outperforming Bitcoin. But we're not even talking about the general altcoin market. We're talking about specific projects that we've done research on. We are a high conviction plays: Solana, SUI ecosystem, Solana ecosystem, even Phantom, it's coming up. We should do very well there. Even my Phantom trade worked out well. The entry was good, even though despite the retracement, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, I've done very well. So what we really have to do is understand that Bitcoin, you know, a 5%, 10% move in Bitcoin equates to much more in a very other bullish projects. And it's more important that we focus on those other opportunities, especially now. Why? Because Bitcoin is quite risky at this level. Buying Bitcoin right now is quite dangerous because we could get a retracement at any moment. Yeah, we could go up to 100. That's very possible. But look where we came from. The reality is the majority of the move is already in there. Are you going to go and try to squeeze every penny out of Bitcoin, every little move out of Bitcoin till we get to 100, if we get to 100? Or are you going to be looking for projects that are at the bottom of the range down here, like how Bitcoin was, within a structure, a bull flag, a rounded bottom, an inverse head and shoulder, a pivot point structure, a change of character? Are you going to be looking for those? Guys, that is what I suggest, that you look for projects that are bottom of the range, bottom dwellers, ready to run. And obviously a bit of patience for that altcoin season will go a long way. So right now for me, although I'm bullish on the markets, especially Bitcoin, for me, it's not the greatest opportunity from a risk to reward ratio. Okay, so that's that. I'm not going to get into more details regard to Bitcoin. So just keep in mind, I'm right now risk off with regards to Bitcoin. In fact, I'm quite risk off even in the entire market because I've been taking a bit of profit across all my trades to raise capital. I made that very clear in the last little while. But ultimately, I'm still looking for opportunities. And of course, IMX is the opportunity that I think that we should be looking at, because the gaming narrative has kind of like, you know, fizzled away a little bit. Not completely. Let's put it this way. It kind of went quiet, which the calm before the storm could definitely be around the corner. Now, if we start looking at this, the retracement is real. Just keep in mind, IMX, this was the level, this was the zone where, you know, it was getting a lot of attention from myself, and all of a sudden it started to run. Guys, we timed the bottom pretty good. The general area is definitely right here. Then, you know, profit taking should have happened, and it, you know, of course, that's an equal important part, not only buying the dips but taking profit. But guess what, guys, we're back down to general areas where we should get some support. And you can see the price action is actually looking for the support at this volume scenario. You know, we have a volume gap right here, very clearly identified by that. If we exclude all of this, we can be a little bit more clear about what is really happening here. Okay, let this kind of recalibrate. You can see there's a lot of market participation, a lot of people getting involved here. Look at the volume right here in the tail end of this. Look at this volume right here. That tells you that there's some people doing something. What do you think they're doing, guys? Are they selling or are they buying? Let's look at this and more, and let's zoom in a little bit. They're making slightly higher highs and higher lows. That means that right now demand is outperforming supply. So what that means is people are accumulating. Now, accumulating for what? Accumulating for a move to the upside, guys. That's what I would be looking at this current moment. I would be looking for a break of trend. Even here on the daily, you can see that we got a few tops. Okay, we kind of did break trend already, if you want to look at it like that. We can get into the 4 hour and kind of, you know, be more precise about it. As you can see, we can probably get more precise. As you can see, look at that, very nice, right? Ultimately, this is the area where we should expect a breakout. Why? Because we're kind of consolidating here. You can see that we could even come back down, make a higher low. We can even come down to touch the bottom of the range again and eventually break out of this trend and start moving to the upside and breaking previous highs. And guess what? We start calling this a pivot point structure, right? Where ultimately what we're looking for is a higher high and a higher low, and then we start doing one of these, and then the trend is your friend to the upside. So what we have to do is understand is that right now you're in validation for a bullish long or a bullish thesis is quite clear. It's the bottom of the range where that white line is. Literally, these bottoms. You could include the wick. That wick doesn't have a lot of volume, so I'm going to exclude it. We have a bit of confluence here with this volume gap. You can see there's not much happening here. So, you know what? Maybe we can say this is a little bit more better. Sure. Fine. We can bring this a little bit lower to make it a little bit more confluent. And ultimately, we want this consolidation to end to see IMX actually break out of this. Once it breaks out, it's very likely that we get above the 200. It's very likely that we fly through this little volume gap. It's very likely that we break the previous high. It's very likely that we start seeing the gaming narrative eventually look very strong, where we see IMX definitely take advantage of it. Now, that's a bullish thing right now. The bearish thing is this. The price action is currently below the 200 daily. I don't like that, right? But we got work to do to get above. And this is where the bullish thesis comes in. But let's talk bearish for a second. We're below the 200 daily. We got some work to do. We're still in a downtrend, clearly lower lows and lower highs. We got some work to do. We are in a scenario, big picture, where you can see a clear impulsive move to the downside with many lower lows and lower highs. And then we're consolidating right here. And if you're a bear, what are you calling this? This is a bear flag. Continuation to the downside. Hunting liquidity to these levels. Is that possible? Why not? So what we have to do is come up with a strategy here how to get in from a good risk to reward ratio where we could expect this to be a bounce and a recovery of the market and see this as our nice rounded bottom. And in addition, also anticipate that we could still fall to lower levels to hunt liquidity down here, allowing us to buy at lower levels and buy on the cheap. If you're bullish, you'll be excited for a dip down to there. Okay, so what do we do from a TA perspective? Let's take a look at some oscillators for a sec. We could see that, you know, we're in the chop zone. We did go oversold. We did get overbought. Maybe we go overbought again. The only thing that kind of keeps me reserves is that I would like the orange line, the volatility line, to get oversold again. You can see how the volatility line works fairly well. If you time up the market and you start looking at every time we got to the top of the volatility, we hit the top. We came down, we come down, we come down. We got oversold. Look where we hit oversold conditions when we got oversold in volatility. Now we got overbought, we got a retracement. Do we come down even further and see the volatility line come down to oversold conditions? And that's where I start to get interested. Let me just mark this up for you. If the orange line comes down here, okay, I want to see where this price goes, and it's likely to come down here. Maybe liquidity hunt. Maybe we come and get a nice swing failure pattern, back test in spring, and then this is where I would like to be, you know, scaling in from a risk to reward ratio opportunity. Right now, the trend is still looking okay. EMA is facing up. Green histogram bars are still okay. The purple expansion is still there, but you can see here, very indecisive, very choppy, not like it's trending in any direction. It's literally going sideways. So we got to anticipate that currently, the individuals that are getting in on IMX have to have some patience. That's all it is. Have some patience, and you're trying to catch bottoms, and you should be doing it slowly and building that position. Okay, so that's that. Now let's talk about the setup real quick. What would I think is the best opportunity is to be buying right in this range. So if we go in for a long position, we want to understand that our invalidation is below this white line. That's the reality. And if you look at the first level of resistance, it's right here. Okay, that's your first level of resistance. Clearly, this is where we want to get a bit defensive. We have the top, we have these bottoms, you have the beginning of an empty volume gap, which is, you know, a few empty spaces that could act as very volatile emotional areas. And if you look at your risk to reward ratio, it is 2 to 1. It's not bad. You believe it or not, a lot of traders use 2 to 1 all the time. I prefer 3 to 1. I'm a bit greedy that way. I want to make sure that I have the odds are really in my favor, because just in case I want to exit my position early at 2 to 1, that's fine. I'm still profitable, right? So how can we improve this? The best way to improve this is this. Maybe get into a small position right now and DCA your average cost lower, right? Because we could get a bounce any moment. Even on the short term, let me just kind of reposition this. On the short term, we're still in an uptrend right here on the 4 hour. Right now, we're looking at the daily, but if you were to zoom in, you can see that we're making, you know, higher lows and higher highs here. What about if we break out and make up another higher high and start moving, right? The issue is trying to time the bottoms is very difficult. However, if we do come down, having that dry powder to DCA and average your cost down, bringing your risk to reward ratio closer to this invalidation, like I mentioned, this horizontal bottom is your validation of the bullish thesis. If we break below that, guys, you got to get defensive, because guess what's going to happen? We're going to come down to hunt liquidity to much lower levels, like I mentioned earlier. Okay, this right here, we're going to hunt this level, and we're going to be coming down to here, the point of control down here. However, if we get that bounce, guys, again, we're first target is right here. Okay, so a risk to reward, let's leave it at that we're going to be buying right now. It's 2 to 1. Then we start looking at breaking the previous high, but we also want to understand that we're looking for an extension. We don't want double tops. We want a higher high. 1.27, maybe. 1.618, sure. That's a little bit more confluent with this little volume gap right here and these tops. That your risk to reward ratio right now is 4 to 1. Awesome opportunity. And again, just to repeat, if you DCA lower, you improve your entry. Look your ratio right now, and you can easily double your money. Very easily double your money. Take half on the double. Take your initial investment off the table and rotate it into another project and see if you can catch another bottom to get another pop to the upside. And that way you build your portfolio, you'll build your bags over time with a lot of projects that you may like. And you have many moonshots out there for potential great gains, but ultimately all house money, because you're taking your initial investment off the table as soon as you get your first pump, which is great. At the end of the day, it's a great strategy. I use that strategy all the time. I used it in the previous cycle, and it worked out great for me. I know I ended up holding a lot of different projects that way, but it was all house money, and all you need is a few of those to be moonshots, and you've done well. Majority of them will do well anyways in a bull run. A couple of them might not do so well, but who who cares, as an aggregate, as a collection of projects, as a portfolio, you are well diversified, and you're definitely going to hit some of those moonshots. Now, I also recommend that you focus on some core projects as well, and have your core narratives, have your core networks and so on. But ultimately, having a little bit of a few projects like IMX in your portfolio is not a bad idea. All right, guys, so this is looking pretty good. Obviously, guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover, join me live tonight at 8 p.m. EST, where we talk about crypto news and price action. It is a great time and place for you to make those requests on any projects you want me to talk about. We'll look for setups, we'll look for opportunity, we'll look for bottom dwellers ready to give us a nice bounce to the upside. All right, guys, take care, have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.